Hello. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Boy, have I missed you all. How are you doing tonight? How is everybody? I see you. I see you, Danny. I see you, the infamous 47. Eileen, welcome. Hi, Adrina. Thank you so much for being here. I thank you all so much for taking the time to join me, for staying up and being part of this discussion tonight. How is everybody doing? How are you keeping? I hope that you are all taking care of yourselves and that you are all staying well. I'm so happy to be here. I had to take some time to heal. I haven't been feeling well. Well, I wasn't, but I'm feeling just fine now. So I'm so glad to be here. So happy Sunday, and again, thank you for all your prayers and your well wishes and your kindness. I appreciate it so very much. So, how is everybody doing? How are you feeling? Are you taking care of yourself? Are you staying narc free? Are you honoring your highest self? Because after we have been through this, listen, or for those who are still going through it, I want you to be encouraged so that you know and that you fully believe that yes, there is life after this type of abuse, after we face this type of evil, after we face this type of enemy. There is beauty afterwards, there is life afterwards, and we walk away with a level of we walk away with knowledge, we walk away with wisdom, and we know what we're dealing with. It's like walking in the dark when you don't know what you're facing, when you have a narcissist or when you're in a relationship with a narcissist and you're trying to figure out, like, why is this person the way that they are? Why can't I get out of this relationship? Why do I keep going back? Why am I stuck? How do we move from this? And it's because we're not really dealing with a person that's all the way there. We're dealing with somebody who had another agenda. And so even if you're trying to co-parent with the narcissist, there's no such thing as co-parenting with the narcissist. They counter-parent you at each and every turn. They set you up for disappointment. They set you up for disaster. And the people that get hurt the most are your children, and they don't care. The narcissist doesn't care about that at all. So congratulations to Danny saying 8 days and counting to a narc-free life. We celebrate you and are excited about your journey and what you are experiencing. Um, I just want to see this comment real quickly before we get into tonight's discussion. So, follower of Jesus Christ, amen. Before I thought I was a woke empath, but found out I am now. There is a huge difference knowing someone is not good and seeing them for what is in them. It's sad. It's really sad. It's one thing, like, knowledge is power. The word tells us that we perish for lack of knowledge. And it's in that lack of knowledge that now I'm speaking from my own experience, that I kept going back, that I kept returning to that dungeon, that I kept going back to a place of torture, of pure hell. And that's what it is. When we've been in these relationships, it's no different than being in hell. And I said it, there's no difference than being in hell, because I wholeheartedly believe that these are minions. These are the sons and daughters of Satan. No, those are my thoughts. And you couldn't convince me otherwise. And there are so many reasons why I say this, and I'm not about to change that perspective anytime soon, unless there is anything else, or unless there's a new teaching that comes along that speaks to it in a different way. But I want to thank you so much for joining me tonight. Welcome to everybody on YouTube, on Facebook, and on TikTok. I want to talk to you tonight about what seems to be, an awakening of sorts. Why are so many people are becoming aware of narcissistic abuse, of narcissism, narcissists, it's going from a buzzword to people wanting to know what is really going on, and why are they all being exposed right now? What is really going on? Does anyone feel like there is something going on in the atmosphere, that there is a change? Because I really do believe that everybody is being woken up for a reason. And it's that reason, that thing that I feel like, we all need to grasp onto it so that we can move in the fullness of who we are and who we are called to be. I don't credit the narcissist for anything in my life. They were a whole demon, and I cannot give credit to a demon. So for people that say, oh, if it wasn't for the narcissist, I wouldn't be as knowledgeable or I wouldn't be as strong as I am. No. If it wasn't for his grace and mercy, I wouldn't be as knowledgeable and I wouldn't be as strong as I am now, because it's grace and mercy. A demon can never give you that grace and mercy. And narcissists never came to give you anything. In fact, they come to steal, kill, and destroy. That's their assignment. So there is no strength that you get from a narcissist. There is no awakening that you get from them. You just become awake because that pain pushes you to an awareness that this is not right. This is not right. This is not of God. We cannot, and we must really stop saying things like, the narcissist woke me up. No, God woke you up. He was tired of watching his child go through this. He was tired. And so that's why we are sometimes connected with people who are able to take us into a different place. So that's kind of what I want to talk about a little bit before we go on tonight. I was reminded earlier on during the week of how, within the field of psychology, and I remember Adriana mentioned this in one of her videos, how they talk about healthy narcissism. There is no such thing as healthy narcissism. There's no such thing as healthy narcissism. And we've got to walk away from the school of thought that makes us want to grasp onto these things that, oh, it's a mental disorder. No, they can talk about that over here, but over here, that's not how I address it. I'm calling it for what I believe it is. So there is nothing like healthy narcissism. A lot of people will try to explain things away simply because they have no other way to understand it. Is there a healthy sex predator? Is there? Because the person who molested me when I was 4 was not healthy. There was nothing healthy about that experience, but that was a narcissist. So where was the health in that? So even though we may have, they say people have narcissistic traits, I want to dispute that a little bit tonight. I want to look at it a little bit differently, because I refuse to give credit to the devil for what God is doing. There's no such thing. I was pondering on what scripture, where is it applicable? How do I talk about this tonight? And Psalm 51 verse 5 simply says, "Behold, I was shapen in iniquity, and in sin my mother conceived me." And, that goes to speak that Adam and Eve did what they did, and we are where we are because of what happened in the garden. That's just what it is. And so because of that, we are all born in iniquity, right? We're all shapen in it. And so I think, for me and how I made it make sense for myself is that a lot of these traits that they talk about, that's the iniquity. That's part of the iniquity that is being discussed. There is no such thing as the narcissist. Here's a good point by Anne-Marie. She's saying that narcs know exactly what they're doing. They absolutely know what they are doing. They know what they're doing. They don't molest children in front of police officers. They don't beat spouses in front of police officers. They don't commit murder and adultery and all those things in front of pastors, in front of their bishops. In fact, some of them are even in the church. Okay, if we can just tell the truth, because it is rising. People are becoming aware of it in the church too. So thank you. Hi, Tanya. And thank you for that. But, people are becoming aware of it. We have personalities because we all bring flavor to life. But it's when it becomes perverted and it's used against what is good, what is pure, what is godly, and what can help somebody without being abusive, without being malicious, without having ill intent. That's what the difference is. You see, the narcissists, again, never came to edify anybody's life, but they come so that they're able to take parts of you for their own benefit. When they come and they derive narcissistic supply from you, it's for their own benefit. It's not for you. I don't care what the narcissist did in your life. Narcissists come only to take. They never come to edify. They never come to uplift. They never come when they give you something, when they do something for you. You better believe that there is an exchange that has to take place. It may not be right now in this very moment, but they may be waiting for the opportune time, for a better time for them to say, well, you know what? Now I did that for you, and I need you to do this for me. But whatever the narcissist is asking for in return is always going to be so much more than what you gave. They're always going to take it up another level. And it's all because that's who they are. That's who they are. They did not come to do anything positive in anybody's life. And so, I want you to really understand, especially if you are struggling still with seeing things for what they are or what they were, or moving past the pain, the betrayal, the hurt, and all of those feelings of I just can't, nothing makes sense. Well, it wouldn't make sense because you are called out of the darkness into the marvelous light, and we have to leave those creatures exactly where they are. There has to be a separation between what is good and what is evil. And so now we find ourselves in a time where it looks like the world is waking up. Something is happening. It doesn't matter what part of life or what aspect of life you look at. If we want to talk about it, let's talk about it in the church first. There's so many leaders right now who are being exposed for who they are. And it's crazy to watch God's children be misled and go down the path. But here's the thing. The word tells us that we are all responsible for our own salvation. We must work it out with fear and trembling. That's what the word says. Work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. So even as people are in the church and being misled right before our very eyes, and if we were to try to talk to them and say, this don't sound right, because we got a whole lot of pastors and prophets and preachers and them people prophesying right now to the people about many different things, so they walk away from what is the essence of the gospel so that they themselves can be glorified. Hello, narcissists. They can be glorified and be uplifted and be, get all the adoration and the adulation from the people that they're supposed to be drawing closer to God. And so what does that mean? So many of us are sitting back and watching it. And then there are those also now who we are seeing, within our own lives, oh my gosh, what is wrong with this person? A couple of weeks ago, I had that own experience with somebody I've known, for a decent amount of time, where I thought I knew this person. And suddenly it's like, hold up, this is who you are? Okay. I don't associate with that anymore. And you've got to be strong when you have to cut your ties, because listen, good has nothing to do with evil. If I took, these are two pens right here. Let's say these are two pieces of fruit, and this is both apples, right? And this one is going bad. But if I bring it close to this one, this rotting apple is going to infect the other good apple. You cannot be with a narcissist and not ingest the evil that they are. You are going to ingest a level of toxicity. I talk a lot about them being the soul hunter, right? And they gather parts of your soul for their own benefit, but they deposit who they are into you. They deposit that swamp water, that sewer water that they are dirty, because the narcs drank the devil's Kool-Aid, by the way. And so here we go, you end up with a level of toxicity because you are associating with them, because of association, should I say. And so that's all it is, and so when you are aware, when you have knowledge, you have a responsibility to step aside and no longer associate yourself with that person anymore. We go back to the parable of the wheat and the tares, where we spoke about this a few weeks ago. Congratulations on breaking the trauma bond and soul tie, which is really a soul tie because it's highly demonic. But I congratulate you on doing that, because it's not an easy thing to do. But it's the separating of the wheat and the tares. the wheat and the weeds, right? We have to separate from that, because or we're watching it happen, because we're always, something is happening, y'all, and I don't know what it is. I wish I had all the answers, but I don't, and I'm just here, like we all are, wanting to know what is going on. For those of you who are just joining us, welcome, and thank you so much for tuning in and spending some of your Sunday night with us. Whether you are watching us now or you're catching us on the replay, I thank you so much for being part of this conversation. Share your thoughts in the comments so that we can talk. There's nothing that just happens by chance. There's nothing that happens by chance. And so even like we're just saying that, we, when you're in relationship with them, you ingest, it is impossible for you not to ingest any toxicity. You ingest a level of toxicity, but it now becomes your responsibility. We can see, it's paralyzing. It's a paralyzing pain, right? And it feels like you're just completely crushed. But we have to understand that this is not your regular relationship. And yeah, we can talk about, all the things that psychology and, modern medicine and all of that is going to tell us about what narcissistic abuse is. But it's an assault on your highest faculty. It's an assault against your will. And your will is God's gift to you, because he wants you to serve him freely from your will. So when we see narcissists around right now trying to impose their will onto other people, it makes you think like, okay, because you can't, why impose your will onto somebody else when we have all been given free will? And so you've got to begin now to find, how do I stand up? How do I do what's best for me? Now that I know what's best for me, what do I do with it? So here's a question asking, do you think they all know they're possessed? And this question is asked a few times. And you know what? I have heard from many people, for those of you who are listening, if you have ever, has your narcissist ever said to you, or the narcissist that was in your life ever said to you how they were on assignment by the devil? Because I've heard it myself, and I've heard several people say this. And I know, they know. You know who you belong to. The word says, my sheep know my voice. They will not answer to another voice. They know my voice. And it's no different. They know who they are, and they know who they belong to. Narcissists know what they are doing, and therefore they are fully aware of who they are doing it for. They know, they have come into full agreement with that spirit and with that darkness to continue to do these things. Here's a comment right here saying he always saw demons in the house and in his dreams. And that just goes to speak to, to what is going on the inside of them. Like, it speaks volumes about who they are. So a lot of it is a lot of it is exactly what they're telling you. Narcissists they always telling themselves, all you have to do is listen, pay attention and listen, and you will be able to see who they are for yourself. They will tell you without a doubt. They sure will let you know. And another point here that is an awesome one, it says that hold up, I just saw it, but the comment went away so fast. But the comment I think basically said is that they enjoy what they do. Narcissists absolutely enjoy. They get so much, pleasure from hurting people, from cheating, and it becomes a game to them. Oh, how many people can I get in rotation? What can I get from who? How can I hurt him? How can I play him because he thought he was too good for me? You ever declined a narcissist's hoover and they decide to kick up their antics several notches as a way to punish you? So Tanya says, my ex ran away from demons in his sleep. He would wake up in the middle of the night to tell me that someone was in the house coming for us. It wasn't coming for me, it was coming for him. And this is the truth. It's almost like they have a preview of what's coming next. Tanya mentioned the other day, and she reminded me. So I have this video for those of you listening on Facebook and TikTok. I have this video on YouTube, The Dying Process of a Narcissist. So I do volunteer for hospice, and I do, I do sit with a lot of dying people, and it is not a pretty thing, especially when the family lets you know who they are, and they start sharing their life story. And literally, like, many people want to know about the narcissist karma, but it really, for me, from what I have seen, it really happens at the end stages of their lives when they cannot run anymore, because they're right there at the end and they are facing the very end. I don't know if I ever shared this with you. I don't know if I ever shared this with you on YouTube before. I don't think so. But anyway, I want to tell you this story real quick, and then we'll get back to what we were talking about. So one of my pastors one time called me and said, hey, I'm about to go do hospital ministry. I want you to come with me. And I was like, sure. So, we met at the hospital, and we go upstairs. So the very first room that we walked into, there was such a heaviness in that room. And I couldn't understand why. And I'm like looking at everybody in that room, like, do you feel that? This is, it was end stage life, and there was nothing that could be done for this patient anymore. Doctors had, family had been notified to come and gather and to be present. And, also listening to the family share about who this person was and how they lived their life. You could kind of understand who they were, right? You draw your own conclusions. And the only way, it was hard. The room felt dark, it felt heavy, and it just felt like there was so much resistance in that room. So, pastors were like, he just gave me this look, and I was like, okay, so I know it's time to pray. And we just, start praying and pray. But for me, it just felt like there was a wall. There was so much resistance that nothing felt like, there was no prayer that could break through it. There was just nothing. And when when you want to see somebody healed, when you want to see them delivered and set free, it's disturbing when there is so much resistance. But there was nothing. Listen, y'all, I prayed. I tried everything that I could, but there was just that. It was just something. And, all I said, all I felt in my heart was that, pray for God's will. And that's all I did at that point. And I left it alone. We walked out of that room after some time and into the room right next door. And the atmosphere was completely different. And it was so shocking. It was so, it stopped me in my tracks, and my heart hurt for the person in the next room because of how different things were. We walked in there, and it was bright, even though the lighting was the same, but there was this other type of brightness that I really can't even explain. But there was so much brightness in that room. But not only that, it was just peaceful, so that when we did begin to pray, you could literally feel your prayers ascend, and there was no resistance, and it was just calm, and it just felt right. And, for many years since, I think that was must have been like 2013 or early 2014. But since then, I think about it from time to time. And so when I do go into I do walk into a hospice room, and I'm sitting with somebody, and I'm talking to their family, and I'm, trying to comfort, trying to console, trying to encourage, trying to pray, trying to just be there, or remembering that, hey, make sure you talk to this person about salvation before they slip into that state of unconsciousness that they're not going to come back from. And so, but it doesn't always work like that. It's almost like people's future and people's fate is already sealed. And that's my take on it. I'm not God. I don't know all the answers as far as all of this is concerned. However, that's why I feel like this awakening that is taking place is so important, because now the question has to become, where do you stand? Yes, I understand that you were the victim at one point, or maybe you still are. But how long are we going to stand there? Because just like those ladies who were in those hospital beds, one day we're all going to be in a position where have to now account for how we chose to live our life. So are we going to continue to say, hey, the narc did this to me, and I'm stuck and I can't move on, when God is saying, reach out to me and I will heal you? Because yes, he heals bodies. Yes, he heals broken hearts. Yes, he heals brokenness, but yes, he also delivers and sets free. And he, even if you are in a situation where you can't get out, he's also able to give you the grace to stay. He's also able to give you the ability to stand in peace, and without interference from this demonic entity that you're somehow entangled with or entrapped with. Because we have to now, we have to, because something is going on in the atmosphere, something is going on. And so what are you going to do with the hand that you've been dealt with? What are you going to do? Many of us here, we're all knowledgeable now about what narcissistic abuse is. So how are you going to use the information that you have to help somebody else? How are you going to use the information that you now have to never go back, to recognize that, what, this is actually a spiritual war. And that means that I need to resist the challenges or resist the enemy completely, so that I can move on and move forward in peace, and, heal and actually live my life the way God intended for me to do. It's really funny that the narcissist, like we say, is a soul hunter, comes to gather up your soul. But essentially, the narcissist gathers your soul so simply so that he or she, okay, we don't call the narcissist it, because it is male and female, but the narcissist gathers up parts of your soul simply so they're able to have a personality of their own, so that they can steal your experiences and say that, oh, I did this, so that they can do all those things that they never did and they never have the ability to. But at the end of the day, if the narcissist wins your soul and is effective, then it essentially hands your spirit over to the enemy. And that is what the real fight is here. This is why it's so resistant to walk away, or the trauma bond or soul tie is so resistant to breaking. This is why it's so hard to walk away from this type of situation, because we go in thinking that, yeah, let's have some compassion because they had crazy childhood. Listen, I had one too. I had a crazy one. I had a traumatic one. I had my own experiences, but I'm not out here narking. I'm not out here trying to play people, trying to live off them, trying to milk them, trying to belittle people and all of that. No. So why do they get it? Why must we be pitiful to, or feel some type of pity and compassion towards them when they're out here, plain and simple, in front of our very eyes, doing the devil's work? Why do we have to be remorseful? Why do we have to be the ones making excuses? No. No, I'm just not the one for that. I don't know if it's that they're more narcissists now, or that I think it's just that we're able to identify them because we know what we're dealing with. For many years, we did not know what it was. And so, we're able to, they're able to get away, but like they're being exposed. Maya, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your gift, and I'm glad that you enjoy the videos. And thank you for supporting this channel. Yeah, so no, they are somebody says there is no devil. Okay, then this is not the right place for you to be, because there is a devil, and I'm going to talk about it here. Thank you for joining me. But anyway, listen. The devil, you see, comes to steal, kill, and destroy. Sow seeds of confusion where we are trying to bring a message that's going to actually get to the root of this thing so that we can deal with this once and for all. So, it's time for us to really say, now that I know what I'm dealing with, what am I going to do? How am I going to use the footstool that has been presented to me, because he will make the enemy your footstool. And it's up to you to make a change and say, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and do it. So really, if we really look at what this past year has been, it's been very challenging. And at the same time, it's been very enlightening, because we are able to see what is going on, and we're able to see who is who and what they're doing. When Lucifer was kicked out of heaven, he didn't just fall down by himself. He came down with a third of the angels. So he came down with his minions. He already had his little soldiers put together, and he is their head leader. And so that's what they're doing here. They're out here bringing all this confusion in people's lives. And it's crazy, because like we have seen so many masks slip this year. And so what is the super empath going to do? It's one thing for us to say, oh yeah, I'm an empath, I'm a super empath, and talk about it. But talk is cheap, people. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do? Super empath, I'm talking to you. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? To be a super empath is a gift. It's a gift. Not everybody has that gift. You have been gifted with knowledge. You have been gifted with an awakening, an awareness that not everyone is privy to. So you have a very special role and a very special position. To whom much is given, much is required. What are you going to do? We spent 2020 talking about 2020, but it's about to be 2021. We have to move on now, and it's. So somebody asked a question from TikTok, and I'm going to answer it right now. Doesn't God want us to forgive over and over? Absolutely, God wants us to forgive, and we must forgive, because there is no moving forward without forgiveness, because forgiveness essentially is what is going to be, and is going to unlock our ability to move forward in our healing journey. Without forgiving, you invite the seeds of bitterness, of resentment, of hate into your life. You must forgive so that you don't invite those cousins, or those cousins of unforgiveness into your life. And God has told us that we must forgive, period. So if you're going to be a follower of him, you have to share, you have to forgive. Now, let's not get it twisted though. Just because you forgive somebody, it does not mean that you must now get back in bed with them. And what I mean when I say get back in bed with them is not, not literally, but like, just because you forgive somebody, it does not mean that you have to be in relationship with them. And don't allow people to tell you that just because, oh, you didn't forgive them because you're not talking to them. No, you are now protecting yourself. You have a responsibility to yourself. You must protect yourself, because why would you forgive somebody, do the work to heal, and open the door up to somebody who is unrepentant, who is going to do the same thing the moment you give them the opportunity to. Forgiveness is part of your forgiveness, is your gift. It's that closure. It's part of that closure. That is the gift that you give to yourself. Forgive and move on. Don't hold no grudges, but move on. Move on. Don't be like them. So yeah, but I want to talk like, listen, we have a responsibility. We have a responsibility. We are watching so many people right now, still not knowing what's going on in their lives, or not knowing how this, this narcissist has affected them so badly that they're stuck. But what are you going to do? What are you going to do? I can't get away from the fact that there is something that you have to do. There's something that we have to do. And it's not that, I'm saying we have to go ahead and, start a revolution. No. But how are you going to now honor yourself? Honor your future self is what I'm saying. As you honor your future self, you're essentially honoring who God calls you to be. And I think that is one of the, most important things that you can do, is because you have a call. Everybody does. And we're never going to get to where God wants us to be because you're not doing what he's asking you to do. And so, I really need you to think about that. I really need you to think about that. We are watching them being exposed on so many different levels. And it's like, somebody said like, oh, everywhere I go, it's narcissists. And I was just like, because you know who they are. You know who they are. You know who they are. And so, it's just important that we begin to start healing those wounds. Sorry, I was looking at a comment, y'all, so I'm going to go over some of these comments and answer them, and continue to have this conversation. I don't want to leave a lot of questions out here. You are so right. The narcissist hates the super empath because the super empath is everything the narcissist wishes that they could be. The super empath has light. They have a gift. They have something special, and the narcissist has no access to that because he drank the devil's Kool-Aid, and there's no glory in that. And so when they watch you, super empath, they're jealous. And so that's why the narc keeps coming back. That's why there is no pleasure in them, or within them. And they have to continue to harass you. They have to continue to come back. Thank you, because that light is attractive. So a lot of times people, why does the narcissist keep coming back? Why won't they leave me alone? They keep hovering me. They keep stalking me. Because you're attractive, you're light. And thank you. Yep. And moth to a flame, there comes the narc. So they are going to come back. They're going to find you for those very reasons. And as you continue to grow, as you continue to move up, that hate and that envy that they have multiplies, and they will do any and everything to take you down. So just because you got away does not mean that they're done with you. Just because you think that you won, or you're no longer with the narcissist, don't think that it's time for you to slow down or back off or chill, because there is no such thing. They don't get tired, and they're going to continue to watch you, just waiting for the right moment to come forward and harass you. This is what they do. And mind you, these creatures are patient. They will wait for as long as they have to find that right moment to strike, strike when you least expect it. So, I don't want to say, I sit back and I read comments and I'm saying, well, my narc isn't stalking me. My narc isn't hovering me. First of all, that's not your narc. That is a demon, and that does not belong to you. You have nothing in common with that thing. But that thing is watching you. You just don't know it. You just don't know it. And furthermore, we don't need to be bothered about that, which is really true. We don't need to, because we're so focused on working on ourselves, right? Yeah, we're focused on working on ourselves, on healing our own wounds. Like, listen, there's something that happens within us that creates a loophole for this evil to gain access. Listen, nothing can happen without there being a gateway. There has to be a gateway. So sometimes, and let's just say, even going back to these narcs themselves, there had to be a gateway in their lives for evil to take a hold of them. They just choose to continue to stay in bed with that evil. That's all it is. They made a choice. They made a commitment. They say, this is the life I want. And so I am going to stay right here and continue to do this. They have the ability. They have the ability to change if they wanted to. But the whole thing is that if, and they don't. Because for me to say, or for me to believe that the narcissist can change, is to say that God is not powerful, which I don't believe is true. He is powerful. He is almighty, all powerful. So if it wanted to change, it most definitely could, but it's just an inconvenience. And life for them is much better when they're able to manipulate and scheme and just bring all of that drama into other people's lives. So yeah, no. So Jamaican Barbie here makes a great comment, which just speaks to what I just said. And she says that I remember my narcissist ex saying he was waiting for me to put my guard down. I know, like in my situation, he waits to think like, okay, I've given her enough time and I'm going to start harassing her. I'm going to start again with the fake accounts and the fake phone numbers just to find the best time to pop up. It's like I always say, for me, when I describe him, it's like a hemorrhoid, just flares up whenever it feels like it, just shows up at the wrong time, like, hello, what do you want now? But you have to not even be, you should become as unbothered as you possibly can, because that's just what they do. They just that hemorrhoid that just flares up. So it's irritating, but block, 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 and that's just what it's going to be. And it doesn't have to become an inconvenience to us. Let them deal with the inconvenience, because every time you hit that block, it just announces to them that I'm still not playing with you. You cannot fool me anymore. So that's all it is. So here's a comment. My ex-narc is going to church now. God puts people in the narc's life to try the spirit. Anybody can change, but that's between the narc and God. My mission is to compete with the narc. Thank you for sharing. I heard your story the other night on North of the Free, and it was good to hear you, True. So, that's, yeah, I just lost my thought for a moment. Um, okay, so here's a question, guys. She says, my narc mom invited me over for the holidays. Any advice? She was so good to me. Well, one thing about narcissists, they love to ruin holidays. I don't know how your holiday experience over the years is, I don't know how that's been. But if I were you, I would, if you're going, just know how long you are going and how you can protect yourself while you are there, so that you don't walk away being hurt by her. Go in knowing who she is. If you have to go, if you really feel like this is what you want to do and is the right thing for you to do, I would just say, go guarded somewhat, and limit the time that you're there. You may have to remember what your boundaries are, and ask yourself before you go, why am I going? What does it mean to me that I am going? Why is she inviting me? Knowing that this is a narcissist. Narcissists always have a motive. They always do something for something. So if I were you, I'd be very careful. Personally, if it was me, I wouldn't be going. If I know who you are, then I just know who you are. And once we see, we just can't unsee. At least I can. So, you know, yeah. And somebody here on Instagram is sharing. She says that you have the perfect excuse right now. I'm staying in. So that is an excuse that you can use also, which is not necessarily an excuse, because it's just what you could be doing, and that's all it is. But narcissists have a habit of spoiling holidays. I've shared so many stories about how the narc ruins one of my holidays, but there's been so many. I remember one year, one Christmas, it was the narc didn't come home for Christmas. Like, and we have kids in the house who were expecting two parents, but the narc was out narking, I guess, we're all adults here. We know what the narc was doing with some supply, but this is what it is, So they have a habit of ruining holidays, not just, for children, for partners, for everybody. Are that's just what they do. So guys, I just remembered about ruining holidays. There is this show I was telling Tanya. For those of you that don't know her, it's Just Say No to Narcs, right? So anyway, I was telling Tanya last night because I was just flicking through channels and I was like, couldn't find anything to watch. So I got on and I saw that on TLC they had this program called something. I think it was like I'm in love with a mama's boy or something along those lines. And wow, I watched that show, and right before my eyes, you watch how the female narcissist is. These narcissistic mothers, I mean, their sons are grown men. And in one of the stories, she was actually she was actually ordering her son's food at a restaurant while he's with his girlfriend. She would then went ahead and told the girlfriend that they were going to get pedicures and made sure she sat between her son. I mean, like, listen, that was just the female narcissist doing what she does. How, we talk about these narcissistic mothers with their sons and how they don't know any boundaries. And, when you mentioned the holidays, there was one who did a lot to ruin her own birthday celebration. So it's like really crazy. But if you get a chance and you are curious whether the person that you were dating, was their mother like that? What was the situation? So I would encourage you, if you have a moment, go and look it up on TLC. It was dating a mother's boy, or I'm in love with a mother's boy. It's such an eye opener. It's one thing to hear and to know about romantic relationships and narcissists, but it's a different dynamic when it's, when the parent is a narcissist and they're doing this behavior repetitively, and how the family actually interacted and was like at the mercy of the narc, and they were serving the narc. And you can see the frustration of the wives and of the girlfriends. And, and it was crazy because they're asking their family and their friends, what do I do? And they're giving advice that we would never give, simply because they did not know what they were dealing with. But it is so easy to see once you're actually aware. Like, all of us would be able to be like, oh my gosh, this is a narcissist. It's called, I think it's I'm in love with the no, I'm in love with a mama's boy, or I'm with a mama's boy, something like that. I'll find the title of it and I'll put it on the community board. I know I shared it with Tanya, so I'll go check our messages and I'll put it on the community board. But it's a real eye opener. I think it actually, it actually comes out. The new episodes air on Sundays, so I guess I was watching a repeat, but I'd never seen this show before. So it was really interesting to watch, and you see how people can continue to be paralyzed because they go to help, like just how some of us did that. You can actually look it up, Susie, on YouTube. I'm sure you'll find it, but I'll put it up on the community board when the live ends, so you'll be able to find it. And wow, it's really interesting. But these are the things, like when you don't know, you just don't know. So we get back to, where we were. It's like when you don't know, you do not know, because, how many times did we go back? I can't tell you how many times I went back to my ex. I cannot tell you. And I would be too embarrassed to tell you, if I can be honest with you. Oh, okay. It's I Love a Mama's Boy. Thank you, Tanya. It's I Love a Mama's Boy. She got it. That's the name of the show. I Love a Mama's Boy on TLC. You got to watch it. It's like, wow. You just be like, okay, this is crazy. Sometimes you see yourself in it, but it's crazy. But, a lot of the times we don't know what we were, or we didn't know what we were dealing with, and you find yourself going back, and people actually encouraging you to go back. And this is how the narc works, just brainwashing everybody, that truth twisting swamp creature, that's all it is. They just come and they pervert the truth. I'm not sure about the blocking somebody on YouTube. I'll have to figure that out, Edwards, and I think you go to their profile and you just to the subscriber and you're able to block them. That's right. Love and Peace says the moms are the ringleaders and control them. And that's exactly what it is. That is exactly what it is. It's exactly what it is. It's crazy. You have to check that show out for yourself so that you can see. It's unbelievable how it's playing right in front of our eyes. And people are like, oh yeah, but just be patient. One mom was faking about that she was about to die, like seriously. And it was just like, whatever. But, we know what they're dealing with. You know what they're dealing with. A lot of us dealt with this, maybe not with a mother, but definitely with their children. Maybe it was your mother. Maybe it was your aunt. Maybe it was your family member, whoever is your boss. You know what you're dealing with. But the question always goes back to you. Now that you know, what are you going to do? Because you have an awareness now that you cannot go back. They're not going to change. They don't want to change. So when they start telling you, yeah, I'm going to go. Oh, it's Adrina. Thank you, Adrina. I don't know why I said Tanya. I'm so sorry, love. Thank you, Adrina. I'm terrible. They just play these games and, but now you know what you were dealing with. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? I'm stuck right here because I always like, what are you going to do? Because we've been talking about like, oh, there's an awakening going on. There's a shifting. There's this, there's that. But now you know these things. You are aware. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? You're not going to go back. We know that. Because if you go back, you're going to just get worse. And that's a promise. That's a guarantee. So don't look back and see them skipping off into the sunset with a new supply like it's going to be great. There's nothing great going on over in Narcville. They're still a narcissist. They're not changing for the new supply. If they were going to change for the new supply, they would have changed for you. But before they could change for you, they would have changed for the person who was there before you. And that's just what the truth is. It's a pattern. That's who they are. They just keep repeating it. Absolutely, we have to stay no contact and pray. But what do you do with the gift that the narcissist was sent to take down? What do you do with that gift? What do you do with what you were called to do? When are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? The narcissist was sent to turn off your light, to dim your brightness. Again, the word says that you were called out of the darkness into his marvelous light. So now that you are in the light, you can't just sit and bask in the light and be cute, super empath. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? And so, I just wanted really to be able to talk to you so that as we begin to prepare for this new year, this year that is coming up, and we're so, we're in a great position to move forward. But it's time for us now to fully assess who we are. Have we truly dealt with the initial injury? Have we truly sealed off those loopholes in our lives so that we deny them access back into our lives? Have we actually dealt with the things that caused us pain in the first place? Maybe it's your upbringing. Maybe it's an experience that you had. Have you dealt with those things? Have you done the work? Have you done the shadow work to heal? Thank you so much, Island Girl Ruby. I appreciate you. Have you done the work to heal? And so once you do that work, if you haven't, then it's time to do the work to heal. It doesn't have to be a difficult process. There's so many videos out here. You know what you're dealing with. So begin to search that initial injury so that you can heal. And once you heal, then move forward. But what are you moving forward to? Do you have any goals? I stopped several years ago with the whole New Year's resolution. I just said that, okay, it's going to be the sequel, because the ultimate goal is to get to the highest version of myself. It's to get to that heavenly version of myself. So it doesn't need New Year's resolutions. It needs a sequel. Everything that I did in 2020, I must now enhance and, be more deliberate and more intentional with how I go about showing up in 2021 and focusing on those things. In 2019, that became my year of self-preservation, and how I had to move about in that was learning how to say no. I didn't know how to say no. I was the ultimate people pleaser, and I had to say no. I had to learn how to say no. And now I dare somebody to ask me, no just rolls off my tongue smoothly. I learned how to say no. 2020 became a year of honoring who I am. So that meant, like, I know I need to do this, so I'm going to go ahead and do this. I don't feel like doing it today, but I'm going to do it because it's what's best for who I am becoming. And for 2021, we'll see. I'm not sure yet, but we all have something to do, but we cannot limit ourselves. We cannot limit who we are because of the experience that we had with a raggedy, dusty behind. That's all that thing is. You got to look at them for who they truly are. You got to look at them for the minions that they are. So don't allow a minion to hold you back and, live life in pain and in fear and in regret. Because the more time that you regret the relationship that or the time you spent in relationship with the narc, is the more time you deny yourself freedom. It's the more time that you deny yourself the ability to heal. And when you heal, everything that you want is on the other side of the valley. So it's a good idea to heal, and every day is a good day to fully heal. It's interesting because in our journeys, right, you think that your healing process is just going to be linear, but it's not really like that. So here's a real truthful moment. It wasn't until maybe 6 years ago, it wasn't until 2013, 2014, when I actually for the first time in my life, dealt with, my childhood, with what happened. It was the first time I was able to begin the process of healing from childhood sexual assault. There's a question. Am I recording this? It's on YouTube, Pink Girl Teaches. So it'll be loaded up there, and there are more videos. But it was 2013 or 2014. It was 2013. I did not begin the process of healing from, the assault that I suffered or that I had, I experienced. And that was a whole 3 decades later. And it was a very hard process, but I began to do the work. And, I devoted 5 solid years to that. But, I kind of thought, like, okay, I'm done now, and it wasn't that the whole 5 years was what it took. But, the first year was fine. After that first year, I felt like, okay, I can talk about this now. I can share my experience without breaking down. I can talk about it, or I can hear about it without having to pick myself up off the floor, without being in bed for a whole week crying from the pain and just being stuck. I was able to, I was free. I was free, and I was at peace. But what I learned over the years is that there's so many layers to it. So, and I'm saying this so that you can examine your own life. There are layers. Sometimes, we get some peace and we feel like, oh, this is awesome and I'm doing great. But then something happens, and it may not even be a trigger, but you're actually put into a position to learn that there's something else that you need to hear or that you need to heal. I just remember, one time feeling like, oh, I was just angry, and with no reason, no rhyme, no reason. I was just angry. And I didn't understand why, but I had to start, like, God, what's going on? Why am I was raging. I was out of control with that anger. And so the moment I began to pray, he immediately took me back to that place. And I was like, oh no, not today. We already dealt with this. I'm fine. And what I knew then was that no, you've done a lot of work. Yes, you're healing, but you never dealt with the anger. And, that's when I realized that it was okay for me to be angry at what happened. So even for you, it's okay for you to feel what you feel, whether it's anger, whether it's regret, whether it's sorrow, but deal with those emotions. There are many, you can actually just Google the word healing from anger, healing from regret, healing, and then find videos, find books that speak to it. If you're not going to go to therapy, use whatever tools that you have available to you so that you can move on. We cannot be bound here. And so what was funny is, like, while I had the whole, while I took time off to get better and feel better, because I hadn't been feeling well, I realized that there was a whole other layer that I still needed to work on. So, this is a journey, this is a process, and you have to do the work, and you have to be committed to it. Don't get tired. Don't feel like, when you're having a bad day because it's been a rough day, and now you know, you're dealing with another type of emotion that may be new, and you think that, oh my God, I'm back in this space again. It's good to be back in that space sometimes, because the healing does take time, and you've got to give yourself some grace to fully go through all the stages. Even when it comes to grief, there are different stages. And so a lot of these relationships and what we are dealing with afterwards there is an element of grieving, but own it and accept it so that you can move on. The longer that you continue to hold on, super empath, I'm talking to you, the longer you hold on to those things, the longer you delay yourself. And what are you delaying yourself from? You're delaying yourself from your promise. You're delaying yourself from the ability to walk freely into your prepared places. Mind you, these are your prepared places. They were laid down before God laid the foundations of this earth. They are yours. They are yours. So you have to, I want to encourage you. You have to. It's not easy. I'm here to tell you, like I just said, like just last week, I also was forced to realize that there is more work to do, not with the narcissist. And the funny thing is, when you're able to identify what your initial loophole is, that's the place that's always going to require more work, not the narcissist. The narcissist doesn't get that much attention. But when you figure out what your original pain point is, that's where a lot of the work is going to need to be done. Because the more you do that work at that original impact points, it's going to actually heal those areas where the narcissist was involved. So it's like, it's 2 for 1, y'all. It's a BOGO. So you can just do that initial work, and it benefits all areas of your life. That's when you're now able to set up boundaries that are so solid that the narc would never penetrate. And it's funny because they never see you as growing, even though they're watching you from miles away. They still feel that they have access to you. They still feel like, you know what, I'm just going to sit back here for a couple more years, and I'll go back and, I'll love bomb. I'll do whatever I have to do to get this person back. But they don't know. They don't know you. All they know are the parts of your soul that they were able to siphon when you first knew them, or when you last knew them. That's all they know. But you know what? We are living beings. We rejuvenate ourselves. We grow, we evolve in Him. But they don't. They don't. Remember, they're empty vessels. They're just a collection of this and of that, and that is it. There is nothing more and nothing less. But you have the ability to grow. You have the ability to evolve. You have the ability to decipher, to dwell in where you need to be so that you can heal. Remember, you're called to lay in green pastures. So maybe you need to lay down in some green pastures. Maybe it's time for you, to hand it over, because a lot of the times, people are carrying a burden that is no longer yours to carry. You don't have to carry the hurt. You don't have to carry the pain. You don't have to carry the disappointment. You don't even have to carry the shame. You know, I can't tell you how embarrassed I was that, oh my God, I'm back here with this person again, and everybody's looking at me like, what is going on with her? Why is she still with this person? Because I didn't realize who I was. I didn't realize whose I was. And so I just stayed in that place. But you know who you are, you know who you belong to, and you cannot stay in that place anymore. And so, if you're feeling down, if you're feeling discouraged, if you're feeling like, I can't, I'm encouraging you today. I'm talking to you today that it's time. It's time. Right now, some people are just in that, you're just the empath right now because you're not fully awake. But when you're fully awake, super empath, there are so many of us here waiting to receive you into this convocation so that we can soar. Hey, Tanya says, let's go north of the fray. Let's rise above so that we can be who we are called to be. Remember, you have been set apart, been fashioned and formed in divinity, and so we cannot get comfortable in staying in these places where we do not belong. You have purpose, you have a call, you have an anointing, you have talents, you are a gift to all of us. So right now, all of you are all a gift to each one of us. Look at yourself. A lot of the times you feel like, you feel so worthless, you feel like I'm not good enough, or you feel like, what can I possibly do? At least that's how I felt when I was in the midst of it, and when I couldn't see who I was or who I am. I didn't have any value of myself. I just believed what the narc said. I just believed everything the narc said. And so, it was so easy in many ways to self-sabotage my progress because my mind was caught up in the words of who they say I was. But that's a lie from the pit of hell. That is not who you are. That is not who you are. You are more than a conqueror through him who loves you. You are the head and not the tail. Like, listen, you are blessed in the city and blessed in the field. You are blessed coming in and going out. The hairs on your head are numbered. So remember that no weapon formed against you shall prosper. Remember that you are hemmed in Christ's garment. He loves you with an everlasting love. Like, listen, 99 of us, 100 of us start off on a trip. One is pulled back by a narc and is left behind somewhere. The whole lot of us other 99 are we're not even going to notice, but he will leave all of us to come back for you. That's how important you are. That's how important you are. A spirited empath, thank you so very much. I appreciate you. So, that's who you are. So you can't believe those lies anymore. You can't feel. I understand the feeling defeated and encouraged, but it's now time to change the words that you are saying to yourself. And it's not just words that you're just going to announce just because you have the ability to speak, but it's time for you to start believing what you are saying, that I am valuable, I am worthwhile, I am lovable, I am love, because that's who you are. You have got to now train your brain another way of seeing yourself, another way of thinking, even especially in the moments when you don't believe it, especially when you're feeling let down and defeated. Write a love letter to yourself. We write love letters to other people easily. We wrote love letters to these narcs. Write a love letter to your future self. Tell your future self how hard working to make yourself proud, how hard you are working for the dreams that you have for yourself. Write your future self a love letter. Write the child that you were, who was hurt, who was abandoned, who was rejected, who felt alone, who was confused, who was never loved, who was never validated. Write that baby, write that child a love letter. Let them know how important they are. Let them know that you have not forgotten them. Let them know that you are fighting for them. Let them know that you are going to stand up for them and that you will no longer, no longer silence their voice. Write that baby a love letter. Write them a note of encouragement. Speak to that child. We all have an inner child that needs a soothing touch every now and then, because how else are we able to grow? You know, a lot of the times you have people who are, you know, who are bruised and who are hurt, that and you know, I know, like for me, I don't know, you know, I don't know, maybe Tanya will share with us one day how it works for her. But I know, like, when I have somebody who comes to me and they want to do coaching, right, they want one-on-one, and we do a little talking, and then I'll ask, very, you know, how was your childhood? And the moment I say that, that's where the waterworks come. And then I know that, okay, so then that was the pain point, that was the entry place. And so it always falls back to doing work to reparent that inner child. A lot of times you keep running back into these relationships because the inner child is seeking something. I'm not saying it's every time, but for a lot of us it is. For me, it definitely was. And I had to do, you know, I had to go back and reach and touch that inner child and remind her, hey, girl, I'm here. I'm fighting for you. I love you. I hear you. I'm going to speak up for you. I'm going to honor you. I'm going to fight for you. You're okay. You're safe. I love you. You know, I forgive. You know, tell yourself, like, listen, y'all, we forgive people so easily, just like we were talking about the importance of even forgiving the narc earlier. Tell yourself, I forgive you. I forgive you for settling for less than what you deserved. I forgive you for abandoning yourself. I forgive you for not believing that you are important. I forgive you for sabotaging. I forgive you for not for not standing up for yourself. And I thank yourself. I thank you for showing up. I thank you for being committed. I thank you for being dedicated. I thank you for taking time to nurture your body, to take care of yourself, to nurture your mind, to grow and to be committed. I thank you for committing to the future version of who I am going to be. You know, you've also got to say to yourself, like, listen, I'm here for you. You know, you remind your inner child, I am here for you. Many times when you have that inner, or you know, you have that childhood wound, that little child was never validated. And that's why you find adults who are not able to trust themselves, who are unable to make a decision for themselves, because there was no validation. And so, you know, when a child is not validated, how do you trust what you're saying? You know, even as an adult, you go back and forth. So now it's time for you to tell yourself, like, look, I trust you. I trust you. You know, I trust that you can make a good decision. And even when you find out that, you know, maybe you could have made a better decision, well, forgive yourself for that too, and move on. There is no need to crucify yourself for these things. Like, the Lord already went on Calvary's cross. You don't need to go hang yourself there, because it was already done. And apparently, according to the word, it is finished. So even the things that we are fighting, even the things that we are trying to, you know, get free from, it's finished. Those were hung on the cross too. It's now time for you to move into alignment with that, so that you can fully heal and move on to what is next for you. So it's Sunday nights. I know many of us have work in the morning, and it's over an hour now. So I don't want to take up any more of your time, but I'm back. Like I said, I'm feeling better. And so I'm going to be back doing videos more consistently. For those of you who are joining on TikTok, I have a YouTube channel with more videos, longer ones, obviously, and it's Pink Girl Teaches. If those of you who are here, if you want short answers, then I'm answering real quickly on TikTok. So you can join me there too, and just ask questions, and I'll post up videos. If you do not want me to use your name and do a reply in the comment so that your name remains private, then just send your question to the inbox, DM, whatever that thing is called. That way I know that you want a discreet response or a discrete video without your information. And I can do that, without a problem. But if you put it under another thing in the public forum, it's an open channel. I'm just going to respond there and it's going to go up. So, I just want to let you know that. But I want to thank you so much for joining me. And I want to encourage you, like, do not be weary. You can walk, you can run, you can crawl, but you cannot stop. You can, one day at a time, 1 hour at a time, 1 minute at a time, 1 second at a time, if that's what you have to do, but continue to move forward. No longer believing the lies the enemy said to you, no longer believing that you are not worth it, because guess what? You are valuable. You are beautiful. You are created on purpose and in purpose, and you are right on time. Many times, people will think that, oh, I'm behind, I'm delayed in where I'm supposed to be because all my peers are like 20 years or light years ahead of me. No, you're exactly where you need to be. Their journey is their journey. We can't look at that chapter of their book because that's their story. Your story is your story, and comparison is a thief of all joy, and we're not going to do that. So, just understand that, we all have our own journeys, and this is ours. This is yours. This is mine. And there's no shame in any of it. You just have to, one foot in front of the other and continue to move forward, but be committed to yourself, be committed to your growth. Thank you, Tanya. Yes, there is only one you. You are unique. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. And so I just want to encourage you, be bold, be strong. Don't ever give up. There are more of us than they are of them. So don't ever don't feel like you are alone. There is a question real quickly before we go. It says, what if you have a child with a narc? I don't want him around the child. How old is your child? Can your child say no, I don't want to be? And, I know courts do not recognize emotional abuse, but you may have to put your child, into therapy and try to take it through that channel. One thing that helped me and my kids, but my kids are older. At the time, they were 12 and 15 when they were able to say, legally that they did not want to be bothered by him. And at that point, the therapist was able to say, it's a detriment to the children to be around him. So, it's, you may have to find out if you can do that depending on what state you're in. But that's what I did. And again, it helped that my kids were older. But it is important that we do meditate on God's word and, you trust him. Okay, so the child in question is 4 and the narcissist is in prison. Okay, but how would the child be having to see the narcissist if he's in prison? I'm not quite sure I understand. If it's with the family members, you can set some boundaries there because the narc's not necessarily involved if they're in jail right now. That's right. Thank you. Thank you, Smirky Nova. It says, weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. When the narc gets out, you might have to get supervised visits depending on what the narc went into jail for. So that might work in your favor. You may have to figure out, see if you can talk to, get some legal advice about what you were able to do. Can you DM me like right here? Because I think I know somebody who can help you. I would have to refer you to her though. But if you send me a message, I'll be able to pass your information along or set up something so that you two can get in contact with, because she knows what you need or she has a good answer for you. And I'm sure of that. But I want to thank you so much, everybody, for joining me tonight. It's my sincere hope that, you were able to get something that would help you. Oh, violent crimes, please no. Your baby does not need to see him. And yeah, the court should be able to help you with that because, yeah, no, definitely send me a message. We'll help you. But again, everybody, thank you so very much for joining me tonight. I appreciate you taking time out. Thank you for all your prayers and for just being wonderful. Continue to stay strong. Continue to believe in yourself. Continue to do the work to fully heal and move forward in peace and in love. So I will see you on Tuesday night. I'll be doing questions and answers on Tuesday night. So I'm looking forward. I'm going to go through these. I'm going to pull questions from here that are in the comments, and I'll be able to start with them on Tuesday night. But I will be joining you on Tuesday night. And also, Tanya, I do lives on Sundays and Tuesdays. On Tuesdays, 7 p.m. Central Standard, Sundays, 10 p.m. So Tanya is going to be on North of the Fray tomorrow. I'm not sure what time, Tanya. I think it's 9 p.m., 9:15. But that's Just Say No to Narcs. And she's also out there in TikTok. So you can also catch up with her. And for those of you who have not and are interested in coming to the self-love retreat that we have in Houston in March, the information, I'll post that on the community board on YouTube, and you'll be able to get information about joining us at the self-love retreat. Okay, so Tanya is going to be on tomorrow at 9:15. And for those of you that don't know on TikTok, you should join her channel on, it's Just Say No to Narcs. What she does is she allows you to call in to her show and ask your questions and share your comments and concerns. So we have a great time listening and connecting with you and hearing what you're saying, because it's healing for not just you, but for all of us. So I really want to thank you so much for your time, and may God bless you. May you sleep well and have a fabulous week, y'all. I will see you on Tuesday. I'm thinking about doing something for Thanksgiving, y'all. I mean, I don't know if anybody wants to join me on a Thursday morning Zoom so we can just talk. Maybe we can have breakfast together. I don't know. I'll ask it. I'll put a poll on the community board, because I just want to spend some time with you. So maybe we can have a face-to-face Zoom chat on Thanksgiving morning if you all have some time for me. I think it would be nice for, because I know holidays are difficult for some people. So I want to kick it with you and have some coffee and some, I don't know what we having for breakfast. But I will see you all on Tuesday, and take care of yourselves and love yourselves. You are beautiful. You are fabulous. You're fearfully and wonderfully made in the image of the Most High God. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. You are an heir of royalty. So continue to grow, continue to evolve, and believe God for better. He has better in store for you. So until the next time, my loveliest,